Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Understanding Behavior live stream. How is everybody tonight? It's been a crazy couple weeks. Hopefully you had a nice time with your family over the holiday last week. Thanks so much to everybody who participated in the Black Friday sale as well. I really appreciate all of your support and enthusiasm over the Understanding Behavior products. It's been really cool to see. I'm doing pretty well, actually. Yeah, things are going good. Things are good. Busy, 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 but real good. Thanks for asking, Hallie. Awesome. Well, yeah, if you haven't looked at the Understanding Behavior shop recently, you would notice that there's actually a lot of new cool stuff in there. So we recently released Beat the Beast 2, which is the follow-up to Beat the Beast 1. I wanted to get some initial data before we put like the money back guarantee on it, but I think I'm almost ready to throw the money back guarantee on it. So if you're not familiar with that, we do have, if you score 80% or higher on your first attempt on our Beat the Beast mock exam, you are guaranteed to pass the exam on your next attempt. So I think I'm not quite ready to make it official yet, but I think we're gonna have the same kind of deal for Beat the Beast 2 soon. The data are looking pretty good. I think last time I looked at it a few days ago, we had 25 people submit it, and then only 2 of them met the passing mark. So I think it's tough enough where we could have that kind of deal on Beat the Beast 2. Yeah, but not ready to make it quite official. We'll get some more data. We also have the BCBA exam fluency question pack. This is a really awesome pack that comes with over 500 questions for just $25. So really great deal. This is more like for like easier, simple questions. The feedback on these aren't quite as thorough as you would see on like the big mocks or the mini mocks, but what's really nice is that it gives you a random assortment of questions each time that you take a test, and you can also get them sorted by task list section as well. So you can take, let's just say like a section B exam, and you can take the exam multiple times, and you're gonna get new questions every single time, which is really cool. Yeah, Karen's asking about our shirts. We're probably not going to restock shirts too soon. So I know like a lot of the lady sizes are missing. But we do have all the regular sizes still left in stock. So if you want to purchase those, we'll get those shipped out to you on, I always do my shipments on Monday. So yeah, if you purchase these before Monday, I'll get it shipped out to you on Monday. Also, yeah, I wanted to mention too is that with the fluency questions, you can also go ahead and, I wish I need to put a link in here, but if you go to our site where we have the fluency questions, let's see if I can find this real quick. Yeah, this one. Yeah, so if you go in here, you can actually try these out absolutely for free too. So you can do 10 question quizzes. You can do up to 3 of them for absolutely free. Kind of just see if you like it. And that's the same thing with our mini mocks as well. So kind of same dealio. If you go to our website here, let me drop these links in chat too. Yeah, the mini mocks here. I'll drop these links in chat right now. But you can scroll down to the free section, and then you can take these mocks for absolutely no cost at all. So definitely worth giving a shot if you are interested in either of these products. If you want to try it for free, the option to do that is there. Well, anyway, tonight's topic, we are going to go over verbal behavior. We have so many different products now that, I mean, like one part about Understanding Behavior live streams is we always do giveaways during here. So I don't know what we're going to give away today, but I mean, we should probably give away some of the new stuff. So maybe we'll give away some copies of Beat the Beast 2 and maybe our fluency questions. So yeah, and if you want to push that along a little bit faster, liking this video is a good way to do that. I see okay, now we're starting to get some likes poured in. We've got 73 people here, but only 8 likes on the video. So if we want to make these questions, or if we want to make these giveaways occur faster, that's kind of the way to do it. Just a heads up. Yeah, Selena's like, already purchased the Fluency and Beat the Beast too. What about the mini mocks? We'll see what we're feeling later. If I'm feeling really generous, maybe we'll do mini mocks. And maybe if we get that like counter like really high, then maybe we'll give away mini mocks. Okay, here's the deal. I'm gonna give it to you guys right now. So if we get to 100 likes on this video at any point during the stream, we'll give away a mini mock package. But we'll give away other stuff in the meantime too. So that's the deal. 100 likes on the stream. So keep telling people to like the video as they come in. I think we'll get at least 100 people here tonight. So so that's the deal. You're gonna have to kind of motivate your team if you, everybody here if we want to do that giveaway. All right, I'm seeing that like counter bounce up pretty nicely now. We're at 48. I can't give away t-shirts because then I have to ship them and then I lose money. So that's not good. But the t-shirts are really awesome. So I would highly recommend that you check those out if you are interested in that. Yeah, if you make 51 YouTube accounts, sure, be my guest. All right, well, we got that like counter up pretty high so far. So, yes, out of 74 people here, we got 52 likes on the video. I like that ratio a lot. How about we give away a Fluency package before we get started? How does that sound? Are we into that idea? All right, so yeah, again, the Fluency package, really awesome deal. You can get 500 questions for just $25, or you could just win it for free right now. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. I know, yeah, Georgia passed today. She had her UB shirt on, reppin'. I heard the UB shirts give you some extra power when you're doing the exam. Like, they're enchanted with the spirit of Nick. So definitely, like, there's some smarts that get transferred on if you wear a UB shirt. I do hand pack all of them. So literally, there is some essence of Nick, not in a weird way, put into the shirts. But yeah. All right, well, let's give away our Fluency package. If you want to participate in this giveaway, give me a number between 1 and 500, and we'll choose our winner, whoever's closest. Yeah, essence of Nick to you. Thanks, Crystal. I swear it's not a weird thing. All right, cool. Lots of numbers coming through. Yeah, one number per person. If you have multiple numbers, you will be disqualified. So let's see them. We'll give you another like 15, 20 seconds or so. Thanks everybody for showing up tonight. We got 85 here already. That is pretty killer. And remember the deal. If we get 100 likes on this video, we'll give away mini mocks. So so keep encouraging people that continue to show up during the stream too. All right, let's make Viviana our last number. We're gonna choose it. 274. All right, help me out here. Who's closest? Ooh, I'm seeing 273, Natalia Tim. That's pretty close. Let me know if there's anyone closer. I'm going to take a look here as well. But, I mean, one off is pretty damn close. It's looking like Natalia. Natalia Tim. According to my eyes, which are wrong sometimes, it looks like Natalia Tim is going to be our winner tonight. All right, cool. Thanks, Crystal, for verifying that for me. I know Amy's so close. Oh, yeah, let me get Natalia on my board. Congratulations. You just won a copy of the BCBA exam fluency questions. And like I said, if you haven't checked these out yet, you can try them absolutely for free. Get 3 randomized quizzes at no charge at all, and you can find that at this link here. But Natalia doesn't even have to do the free one. She gets access to all of these questions for free. Congratulations. All right, well, let's put these to the side. Let's get into the juicy stuff. This is the reason that we're all here tonight. Let's talk verbal behavior. Awesome, cool, Nicole. I'm glad you've been enjoying those. That is awesome. Yeah, new product out. Always exciting to come. I think you'll be happy to hear too that I have everything submitted for our app approvals now as of today. It was quite an arduous process to get it all ready, but the Understanding Behavior app is gonna come pretty soon. Definitely, I can promise by the end of this year that the Understanding Behavior app is going to be out. It's going to host our mini mocks and the fluency questions, as well as the courses that I'm working on. That will be a more comprehensive view of everything on the task list. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for the app coming really soon, before the end of the year for sure, but fingers crossed we'll see that in a couple weeks or so, and that will be an Android and an iOS app. So getting exciting for sure. All right, well, let's get into our material. We're talking verbal behavior today. Here is our agenda. So first, we're going to talk about what is verbal behavior. We're going to talk about the difference between form versus function. We're going to talk about the difference between verbal and vocal behavior. Talk about the difference between audience and speaker roles. Then we're going to break down each of the verbal operants into their basic contingencies. We'll talk a little bit about formal similarity and point-to-point correspondence. Then we're going to talk about how they're going to try to trick you on the exam. And lastly, we will have a quiz over everything that we review today. So let's start with what is verbal behavior. Verbal behavior was a textbook that was written by Skinner in 1957. A lot of people would say that this was his most important work. I think Skinner even said that he thought that verbal behavior was his most important work. I might be wrong on that, but it's definitely high up there on in the frame of Skinner's work. So let's talk about this. Verbal behavior is, he defines it as behavior that's reinforced through the mediation of other persons. So what he means is that the reinforcement occurs from other people, and these other persons must be responding in ways which have been conditioned precisely in order to reinforce the behavior of the speaker. So essentially, it's a speaker-audience relationship. The speaker's behavior is reinforced by the audience, and the audience is specifically trained to provide that type of reinforcement. So easy way to kind of just think about it. I like this first part of the definition. It kind of gets a little bit more confusing here. But a nice, easy way to think about verbal behavior is behavior that's reinforced through the mediation of other people. All right. We're going to talk about the difference between function versus form of language. So the form of language is what the behavior looks like. So a lot of people think about form as just like the response modality, and that's not, doesn't quite capture all of it. So like example, the response modality would be like a vocal response, but form also refers to like specifically what kind of vocal response. So it's that type of verbal utterance, so that response modality. So either it being like speech, sign, text, or icons, or etc. And it also includes like the specific words and phonemes and the grammar that's used within this behavior. So form does include both of those components. Don't forget it. Now let's talk about function of language. So function of language is going to be pretty much the same as function of behavior. So this is looking at the history of context and consequences of the verbal responses. So antecedents with our context and the consequences that reinforce or maintain those behaviors. Just to give a little bit of impact of the text verbal behavior. So at first, like really what this did is that opened up a functional perspective of language, where prior to Skinner's verbal behavior, people really only studied the form of behavior. So a lot of people, or a lot of linguists, neglected function of behavior, and Skinner being Skinner was like, no, all behavior has function. We need to include this into verbal behavior as well. So really big shift in perspective there. It also shows that language is not innate, but it is learned. So thinking about if we have behavior with function, that means that it's sensitive to reinforcement and that it can be changed through environmental history. So yeah, same kind of thing here. It can be explained by our environmental contingencies. So let's talk a little bit about Noam Chomsky. Noam Chomsky was actually one of Skinner's biggest critics. And when verbal behavior came out in 1957, it actually didn't have a big impact on the field of psychology at all. So the person responsible for that was this guy, Noam Chomsky. He's a very well-known philosopher. He's still alive today. But again, he was Skinner's biggest critic of verbal behavior. And in my opinion, I don't think Noam Chomsky really got a good idea about what Skinner was talking about. I feel like verbal behavior just kind of went over his head. So yeah, I think he missed the point entirely of verbal behavior. And what Noam Chomsky really argued is that no, humans are special, and verbal behavior can't be explained through function. Verbal behavior is best explained because humans have a language acquisition apparatus inside of us that makes us special. I'm like, really? A language acquisition apparatus? Like, how is that? It's never been medically identified as a part of our bodies, and it's just make something up to create an explanation. So, but the thing is, Chomsky is very well respected, and his points actually kind of shut down verbal behavior. So yeah. This is really dumb. It's just again, it's a mentalistic explanation that is referring to something that is not clear to exist. So very weak explanation, but again, Noam Chomsky has a lot of influence, and he did effectively shut down Skinner's text of verbal behavior. It actually wasn't until the 70s or 80s where a behavior analyst of the name Jack Michael, he picked up Skinner's verbal behavior and was like, oh my God, this is the most brilliant thing ever. And Jack Michael was actually a professor at Western Michigan University, which is where I went to school and got did my master's at, and actually got to meet him before he passed. But Jack Michael picked up verbal behavior and is like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm going to focus on my whole career on verbal behavior. And he absolutely did. And you might be familiar with one of Jack Michael's students is Mark Sundberg. So Mark Sundberg is actually the writer of the VB map, which is a very common verbal behavior assessment that we use for young autistic individuals today to evaluate where they're at with verbal behavior. So yeah, that's a little history lesson for you. I really like the history of behavior analysis, and I think it's really important to know. Yeah, go Broncos, Natalie, for sure. And yeah, another fun fact about Noam Chomsky to show you kind of what his personality is like is that he was recently found donating money to Jeffrey Epstein. So yeah, great character. Anyway, let's move on from our history lesson and get into the meat of today. So we're going to talk about vocal versus verbal behavior. Vocal behavior, this is behavior that's produced by the vocal cords. So any kind of speech or things that are produced by the vocal cords is vocal behavior. Verbal behavior is a broader category. So again, referring back to Skinner's definition, this is essentially communication that's mediated or reinforced by another individual. So verbal is way broader. Vocal is specifically with your vocal cords. I found that that's the easiest way to remember it. So vocal with your vocal cords, verbal is everything, including vocal behavior. All right. Also, when we're analyzing verbal behavior, we need to look at both roles that are involved. So we have our audience and our speaker role. And very similar to our basic contingencies, the roles are going to flip depending on which specific verbal response that we're looking at. So our contingency is always going to be framed around our speaker, the person who is actually emitting this verbal response. And when we look at speaker behavior, that means the verbal behavior of other people is going to function as a stimulus to the speaker. That person is going to be known as the audience. So when the audience engages in verbal behavior and we're analyzing the speaker's behavior, that serves as a stimulus. But if we analyze that person's behavior, then they're the speaker, and now the other person is the audience. When we refer to this term audience, this can either be the people that are directly in front of you, or this could refer to a broader verbal community. So like for instance, like my audience right now is students studying the behavior analysis, studying for the BCBA exam. But depending on like what kind of context I'm in, my audience is going to shift. And we can also have stimulus control of our verbal behavior. So depending on your audience, you're going to engage in a different set of verbal responses. So like, for example, like I talk to you guys only slightly differently than I'll like talk to my friends. So, but there is some stimulus control there where like my sets of verbal behavior that occur in my repertoire are different when I'm on stream with y'all than it is when I'm just like interacting with my friends or my dog or whoever. Let's also think about covert verbal behavior. This is also known as thinking. This is like thinking is a really weird response because when you're thinking, you serve as both the audience and the speaker. But when we think about like different thoughts, they can all fall under certain operants. So the operants aren't going to change except that they are covert. So it's a little bit different where we are we are both the audience and the speaker. We play both roles when we're engaging in covert verbal behavior or when we're thinking. I'll get you guys puppy pics later. I can't find them too fast. So, but yeah, she's really cute. She just went to go eat dinner. Her name's Lexi. She's my baby. All right. So that's the audience versus speaker roles. Very important to get down. And again, we want to frame our verbal operants always on the speaker's behavior. And if you weren't here earlier, I did mention that we are doing a little kind of group contingency here, where if we get 100 likes on this video, we're gonna give away a mini mock package valued at $99. So if you haven't yet, I think everybody here would appreciate if you smash that like button. All right. Let's talk about verbal operants. This term operants, I feel like it trips a lot of people up, and honestly it tripped me up for several years too. I'm like, what is an operant? An operant, like, it's just a contingency. So it's looking at an A-B-C relationship. So whenever you see this word operant, try not to overcomplicate it. Just think about it as like a simple contingency or a building block of behavior. So verbal operants are, again, behavioral contingencies that are reinforced by others. Let's get common consequences of them. So the most common consequence for our verbal operants is going to be what we call GCSR, which stands for Generalized Conditioned Social Reinforcement. So this word conditioned here, that means that it's learned. So it's learned through operant pairing with other reinforcing stimuli. And it's generalized. So that means that it's paired with many different things. So not just one particular reinforcer, it's paired with many different reinforcers. And social just means that it's going to be that these are reinforcement that's paired with interactions with other people. Some examples of GCSR are praise, approval, or simply just coherence. So it doesn't always have to be approval. It just could be like, yeah, I understand that. So if I were to say like, oh, my dog died, like you guys aren't gonna, this is not true, by the way. If my dog, she's eating dinner right now. But if I were to say my dog died, like, you guys aren't necessarily going to praise me and be like, yeah, oh, yeah, that's so cool, Nick. You're just going to be like, oh, like, I understand that, and that sucks. I'm sorry. So just to kind of like give an example that it doesn't always need to be praise. It can just be like understanding as well. So all of our verbal operands, they are reinforced by this GCSR. The only exception is the man. So mans are reinforced by specific reinforcers instead of this generalized condition social reinforcement. So since most of our verbal operands are reinforced by this GCSR, and usually like when we're like studying any operand, like we want to look at the function or that consequence of behavior. But since this is mostly going to be the same for all of our operands, our verbal operands are mostly going to differ by focusing on the relationship between the antecedent and the form of the behavior. So that's the most salient difference between most of our operands, because most of them are going to be have the same reinforcer with our GCSR. All right, so we are going to go through each of our elementary verbal operands, and what I want you to do is let's briefly go over the antecedent, behavior, and consequence for each of these. So do your best to we'll start with the man here. And I want you to get all three of these in your same answer. So get what was our antecedent, what is the behavior, and then what is the consequence for this. So let's see those in chat. I see some people are already going for it. Cool, yeah, I like where Emily's going. So yeah, we're gonna do all three of these, the A, B, and C for each operand. We can't do one at a time. We'll go way too slow if we do that. But let's get our whole contingency down. So what's our antecedent, behavior, and consequence for the man? Cool, yeah, catching flights is on track. Cool, Michaela on the right track. So a lot of people are saying like this has to be an item. Does a man always have to be an item? I want you to think about that. Is it always for an item? And if your answer is no, can you come up with a counter example of a man that's not for an item? Cool, yeah, catching flights is right on track with that. So she has that it can be information as well. Yeah, it could be for like a hug or a tickle. Good. So yeah, it's not necessarily have to be for an item. Awesome. Love it, love it, love it. Yeah, good, Taylor. All right. Yeah, some great answers coming through. Cool. Yeah, Sarah B, I like where you're going. Ash looks good. Yeah, Natalie Brewer, I like that. All right, these are looking great, crew. Let's check it out. So for our man, the antecedent is going to be an establishing operation. So something that makes a reinforcer more reinforcing. The behavior is going to be a request for a specific reinforcer. And the consequence is going to be that specific reinforcer. So if I'm like really thirsty, that could be my establishing operation. I might ask for a water, and then that is reinforced with a water. So again, that's only going to be reinforced when there's the proper audience here. So like right now, I'm home alone with my dog. So like I'm not going to be asking for water because she's not an audience that has reinforced this behavior before. All right, looking really good. I like where we're going. On these next few, yeah, you're gonna have to be really careful about going through verbal versus vocal, and what kind of things we're going for here. So I want you to do the same thing for tact now. What is our antecedent, behavior, consequence? Let's get that whole contingency down for tact. While you guys are doing that, let's see if Lexi wants to come on stream. Lex, come here. Come here, sweetie. Come. Oh yeah, she's coming. She's coming. So I'll do you guys better than a picture. Wait. Come here. Come here, girl. You'll come on stream? Come here. Oh, she's a little timid right now. Come here, sweetie. Come here. She knows I'm gonna like pick her up and embarrass her. So. Oh, You're just a big girl. Let's get my camera right. Oh, she's really cute. This is Lexi. She's my baby. She doesn't love this, so we'll put her down. Thanks, Lex, for being. You're the best girl. Yeah. Yeah, she's my baby. She's super sweet. You see, you get lots of love on stream. You're a good girl. Yeah. All right, cool. Let's look at some of these answers. Yeah, Sarah, I like where you're going. Sarah Steely. Kendall looks good. All right, yeah, I'm liking these things. Yeah, Selena, that looks really good. Cool, yeah, Michaela on the right track. Oh, Buster Brown, that's a cute name, Hallie. She gets some back scratches. She like that. All right, let's check out the tact here. So our tact, the antecedent is going to be a non-verbal stimulus. So a lot of people said like an item, like items would fall under this category, but it can also be something more abstract. So this could be like a smell, or it could just be like a vibe. So like I could say like, oh, the vibe is off. And like that would be a non-verbal stimulus as well, like experiencing like the bad vibe or whatever. The behaviors, we're going to label that stimulus, and our consequence, that reinforcement, is going to be our GCSR. Remember, GCSR is generalized conditioned social reinforcement, and that's like praise, approval, or comprehension. Cool, that looks great, everyone. Let's move on to our intraverbal now. We're going to do our ABC. Let's see that in chat. Now, Lexi will be 7 in January, so she's a great age. She's got all the hype still, but she's mellowed out a lot too. She's a perfect baby. Oh, that's fun, Crystal. All right. Yeah, these are looking good. Yeah, catching flights, I like where your example's going. Selena, on the right track. Does it always have to be a question, though? Another thing I want you to think about is that does this always have to be a verbal response, or can it be, or sorry, does it always have to be a vocal response, or can it be more broad? Cool, I'm liking where the answers are going. Yeah, Sarah, I like where you're going. Awesome. Yeah, I like where we're going here. Good info, catching flights. Good, Patricia. So yeah, if you're responding in your head, that would be like a covert version of these operants. So if I'm like, oh, if I'm thinking like, oh wow, like the crew is really good here today in chat, like that's a it's still like a tact. It fits the whole tact frame where it's like nonverbal stimulus. I'm labeling that stimulus, have my GCSR, but I'm both the speaker and the audience when I'm just thinking that. Cool. I like where we're going. Let's go ahead and look at this whole contingency. So for an intraverbal, our antecedent is going to be a verbal stimulus. So you hear something. Our behavior is going to be a related verbal response. So it's going to, like, if we're answering a question, for example, it might be a response to that question. Or if we are doing like a song fill-in, like we might finish the song or whatever, all those would work. And then our consequence is going to be our GCSR. Looking good, peeps. Yeah, we are at 90 likes now. We've almost triggered our big giveaway today. So if you haven't liked the video, I think the crew here would really appreciate that. All right. Well, these three are considered our elementary verbal operants. So they're kind of just our basic verbal operants, but they don't fit into any other category very neatly. Next up, we are going to look at the difference between formal similarity and point-to-point correspondence. So a lot of people get these mixed up, especially formal similarity. So we talked earlier about how response form is not just response modality, so it's not just vocal and vocal, but it's also that the form is exactly the same. So the contents of the verbal response are actually going to be the same as well. So the formal similarity, again, with most of our verbal operant stuff, we are looking at the relationship between our antecedent and our behavior. So with formal similarity, we're going to have the response form is the same and the content of the response is the same. So if I were to say like, hey, how are you? And you say, I'm good, those responses do not have formal similarity. Even though they're both vocal, those don't have formal similarity because they are different responses. They contain different content with them. So for formal similarity to occur, content of the response has to be the same as well. I know a lot of places teach this wrong, so just be really careful that formal similarity does refer to both of these things being the same. So both response form and the content are exactly the same. Give me a 1 in chat if that is new to you. If you thought it was only like the response form or response modality being the same. Give me a 1 in chat if this is like a totally new thing for you. I'm just curious. So yeah, texting and texting, those have the same response modality, but if they're not the exact same text, then they don't have formal similarity. So for example, like if I say, hey, what's up, and then you say, hey, what's up, back to me, those have formal similarity because they are both vocal and they are both exactly the same. If I were to say, hey, what's up, it'd be like, today sucks, even though they're both vocal responses, those would not have formal similarity because they have different content within them. Cool. So yeah, it's new to a lot of people. So yeah, I'm glad we are going over that and getting this down correctly. Natalia's asking if vocal hi and vocal hello would have formal similarity. No, it would not, because those are different responses. Hi and hello are different. So again, we'll go over this in some more examples later on too, but formal similarity, it has to be the exact same form, and it needs to have the exact same content within the responses with our antecedent and our behavior. Yeah, we'll get into that, Brianna. So formal similarity applies to all of our duplics, and we're going to go over our duplics next. Duplics you can think about as just like we're duplicating our antecedent. Let's go over point-to-point correspondence now. So in point-to-point correspondence, again, we are looking at a relationship between our antecedent and behavior. That's usually what we're looking at with all of our verbal operants. And with point-to-point correspondence, there's a meaningful and exact relation between our stimulus and the behavior, but the difference is that the response form does not have to be the same. This applies to both our duplics and our codics, so we'll get into that with our tables coming up. Let's talk about our duplics first. So again, with our duplics, what we're doing is we're duplicating our antecedents. Duplics have both point-to-point correspondence and formal similarity. So they're going to be the exact same response form and contain the same content. And that inherently gives us point-to-point correspondence because the antecedent and the response are going to be exactly the same. So let's go over our echoic first. Careful with your vocal and verbal here. Let's get our contingency down. So ABCs for an echoic. Again, be careful with your vocal and verbal here. Patricia, I think we need a little bit more there. We are at 91 likes on this video. We are getting close. Let's see if it's gonna happen tonight. I'm telling you, if we get to 99 and we don't pass 100, we're not giving away mini mocks. We got to see that 100 or bust. Cool. Yeah, Natalia, I like your answer a lot. Jamie T on the right track. Cool. Yeah, Emily S looks really good. Again, heed my warning. Make sure you're getting verbal versus vocal correct here. If you say verbal here, it might be a little bit too inclusive. Cool. Yeah, Amy, I like that you have a good example there. All right. Answer's looking pretty good so far. Yeah, Leara, that looks good. All right, let's check this out for echoics. So with echoics, we have a vocal antecedent, not a verbal antecedent. Echoics must be vocal, so produced with the vocal cords. It's not echoing if it's a different response modality. The behavior that we're looking at, so the speaker behavior is going to be a copy of that vocal antecedent. So again, it's going to be the exact same thing as you heard in the antecedent. And our consequence, with no surprise, is our GCSR. So again, be really careful about your vocal versus verbal here. With echoics, we're only looking at copying vocal behavior. Alrighty. Well, let's go over mimetics. So mimetic is probably a little bit less familiar to you, but I want you to kind of use your context clues and give this your best shot still. So with our mimetics, we are still, it is a duplex, so we are duplicating our antecedent. And a kind of an example of this is that we're duplicating motor verbal behavior. So let's go ahead and check this one out. I don't think there's an AKA for mimetic. Again, this is for echoic, it's not verbal behavior, it's vocal behavior because it's only behavior that's produced by the vocal cords. If I'm going to copy a text, for example, that would be a different operand, but it would still be a verbal response. Yeah, I probably haven't heard about mimetics too much, but it is possible for them to show up on the exam, so we're gonna review it. Oh, I like Kendall is very brave and absolutely killed this here. Awesome. Yeah, Amy, I like you. I got a good example there. Yeah, this one's a little tricky. We'll go ahead and review in just a sec. Yeah, and again, if you haven't heard of this before, I encourage you to still give it a shot. Use the information that you have here. So, like I said, it's kind of like imitating a motor verbal, or sorry, yeah, like imitating a motor verbal antecedent. And again, we're duplicating our antecedent. It's similar to imitation, but it is different than imitation. Let's go over this. So our mimetic, we see a motor verbal stimulus as our antecedent. So a lot of people had that it's a non-verbal stimulus. It is still a verbal stimulus. So that's going to be like the main difference between our mimetics and normal imitation, is that the sign that we're doing actually has to communicate something. So if I give like a peace sign and then you give a peace sign back, that would be a mimetic because the peace sign actually communicates something. The example that sticks with everybody is like if I give you the bird and then you give me the bird, that would be a mimetic because it's a motor verbal stimulus. It's something that communicates something, and the mimetic is copying that motor verbal stimulus. So that's the example that sticks with everybody. So hopefully it sticks with you. And again, for our mimetics, we do see our GCSR. And yeah, this is commonly, we would see this with sign language too. So for teaching sign language, we're going to often use mimetics to teach those responses. So we're going to provide the motor verbal stimulus, have them copy our motor verbal stimulus, and then provide praise or approval if they get it correct. Absolutely, absolutely. Looking good here. You may have or may not have heard about copying text, but again, I challenge you to use all of the context in here to try to solve this, whether you've heard about this or not. So again, we're working with a duplicate. Copying text, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. We're copying text. So let's go ahead and give our best for our ABCs here. Yeah, Ken, that would be a good example. So like wave and then wave back. That would be a mimetic as well. I saw an example earlier where it's like pat my tummy and then they pat their tummy back. That wouldn't be a mimetic unless like the patting of the tummy was like specifically has like a verbal function. So it might be like a combination of a mimetic and a man if like patting my tummy like communicates that I'm hungry and has been reinforced with food in the past. So like maybe, but if we're just doing like that in a normal imitation trial, probably not. Good, good, good. All right, let's see what we got here. Yeah, Amy looks good. Yeah, Ashley, that looks great. Stacey, like where we're going. Yeah, Kioma looks great. All right, looking pretty good here, looking good. Let's go over copying text. So with copying text, we have a written stimulus is our antecedent. So we're going to see something that is written. The response is going to be a copy of that written stimulus. And yeah, I think I would include that this is a written verbal stimulus. So maybe I need to update that here. So a written verbal stimulus. I saw somebody said that like drawing a circle and then the other person draws a circle. I would not call that copying text because the circle doesn't necessarily communicate anything. So I would add written verbal stimulus. I'll have to update the slide afterwards. And then we're going to copy that written verbal stimulus. And to no surprise, this is going to be reinforced with GCSR. This is not the same as dictation. We are going to go over that later, but copying text is literally copying text. We see some text and then we copy that text. Cool, cool, cool. All right, looking good, looking good. Our last category of verbal operants that we're going to review today. Actually, I lied. There's one more. But we're going to look at our codics now. So with our duplics, so you want to really focus on our duplicating our antecedent. These have both point-to-point correspondence and our formal similarity. With our codics, we are decoding our antecedent. So this has point-to-point correspondence between our antecedent and our behavior, but we don't see formal similarity. So in the case of codics, we're not going to see that the antecedent and the behavior have the same response form. They're going to have different response forms, but they are going to relate in a meaningful and exact way. Let's go over our textual behavior first. Some people think about textual behavior as reading. So let's go ahead and give this a go for our ABCs. Textual behavior. What are the ABCs of textual behavior? Also, update on our giveaway. We are at 96 likes with 103 people here. Oh, it's pretty dang close. Pretty dang close. Oh, 97. Oh, it was so close. The pressure is on. All right, looking pretty good. Yeah, Kendall, I really like that. Ash looks great too. Y'all have been killing it tonight, both Kendall and Ashley. We're at 98. Remember, we need 100. I'm not going to give it away at 99. All right, let's check some of these answers out. Yeah, M. Diego, that looks good. Yeah, Adrian, I really like that. All right, it looks like we just met it. We got 100 here. I am a man of my word, so we'll give away a copy of the mini mocks after we review our Codics. Thanks, everybody. Love to see those big numbers on the stream, so I'll pay it forward. We're going to give away some mini mocks. All right. I mean, if we get this even higher, like, we might give away more stuff, too. So, like, don't stop those likes yet. All right, answer's looking really good here. Nice, Ashley. I like you have that trick down, vocal with vocal chords. Excellent. All right, let's break down our contingency. So a textual response. Our antecedent is going to be a written verbal antecedent. Our behavior is going to be reading out that text vocally. And then our consequence is going to be our GCSR. The only time I would say that this is like not doing it vocally is like if you are covert reading. So again, that wouldn't necessarily be a vocal response. You are just reading the text, but it's kind of like covert vocal when you're like saying it to yourself, but it's not actually vocal with vocal chords. So that's why I just have reading the text here is a little bit more broad than the vocal response here. But typically a textual behavior is going to be vocal or like that covert vocal, I guess. So essentially, yes, we have our written verbal antecedent. We're reading that out, and then we have our GCSR. So like if I were to see this text that says read the text, that is a textual behavior because I'm seeing this written antecedent. I am vocally reading it out loud. And what I want you to see is that this has point-to-point correspondence because these letters that make up the words read the text have a meaningful and exact relationship with my response of saying read the text. So that's what we mean by point-to-point correspondence, that they have a meaningful and exact relationship, but they don't share the same response forms because this is a written response and reading me saying reading the text is a vocal response. Cool, cool, cool. Looking really great, crew. We've got one more contingency to solve here, transcription. Let's see if you can nail down the ABCs of transcription. Yeah, textual, if you want an easy way to think about it, it's just like reading. I recommend like not taking the shortcuts too hard. Like you should know your ABCs of all of these. Like the shortcuts can be useful for like quick identification, but getting down your ABCs is going to give you that more comprehensive understanding and see these operants in more places. So a lot of people I know like study notes ABA, they're always like, let's take the shortcuts. And I'm like, no, don't take the shortcuts. Let's get a full comprehensive understanding of these topics because it's going to make your skills so much more generalizable. Like the biggest one that I see that like people mess up on is like when it's like positive reinforcement, they just say added. But I'm like, added when? When I ask like added when, they like fall apart because they don't have a full understanding of that concept. But when we know a positive contingency, like it's a stimulus added after the behavior, that's gonna help you see these things way better than just like knowing like added at some point. So again, comprehensive understanding over these shortcuts, it's gonna pay off, I promise you. A lot of people that like continuously fail the exam, I often see that they take too many shortcuts. So it really is game changing. Get a more comprehensive understanding of the concepts, and your skills are going to be way more applicable to way more settings. You're more likely to pass the exam. I know that's why you're all here. Yeah, Hallie, I like that. Would rather know too much than not enough. Absolutely. All right. Yeah, I'm liking the responses coming in here. All right, Devin, good to see you here. I saw you on Learn Worlds the other day. Good to see you. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, Natalia, I like where you're going there. Yeah, Danielle, that looks really good too. Devin, I do still have your golden spoon. It is still my ice cream spoon. Devin was actually one of my RBTs in my very first BCBA position like 7 years ago. And yeah, she gave me a golden ice cream spoon, and it's still one of my ice cream spoons. That's so funny. Good to see you here. Yeah, Devin, aren't you at BCBA now? You just coming here to hang out and have fun? All right, sitting on the 27th. Good luck. Crush it, crush it. You're in the right place, Devin. All right, let's look at transcription now. So for transcription, we have a vocal stimulus as our antecedent. The behavior is writing out that vocal stimulus. So kind of think about it as like taking dictation. And then we see our GCSR, or our reinforcement there. So a lot of people think about like transcribing in court. Like the person is writing down everything that is said within like a court case. I think that's a nice, easy connection to make for a transcription. Yeah, it looks like a lot of you guys got that right too. So awesome. Cool, a lot of people testing on the 27th. Good luck to all of you. Hope you guys kill it. All right, well, as promised, let's give away some mini mocks. How does that sound? We ready? All right, so again, if you're not familiar with our mini mock package, it is a $99 package that you can find on our website. You can do that right here. Also with our mini mocks, if you're unsure if you want to buy them, but you still want to try them out, you can try 2 of them absolutely for free. And to do that, you just need to go to this link, and all you need to do is scroll down here, and then you can click these 2 mini mocks, and it'll bring you right in. You have to do a quick sign up, but it'll bring you right into the mini mocks. We have 13 mini mocks total here. So these are 2 free mixed mini mocks, so they cover the whole task list. It does come with a 3rd mixed mini mock. We have 1 over each section and 2 for section G. All of these are really tough scenario questions. So these questions don't mess around. I would say that these are in generally going to be harder than the BCBA exam. But what's really nice is that if you get these wrong, that you do get very thorough feedback on why the correct answer is correct and why each of the incorrect answers is incorrect as well. So tons to learn from these. Highly recommend it. It's a really great product. And hopefully you win right now. So let's go ahead. We're going to give this away. Yeah, we're going to do another random 1 to 500. So if you want to start putting numbers into chat, you're more than welcome to do so. Again, only 1 number per person, and our closest individual is going to win the mini mocks. Let's up it here. So closest individual is going to win the mini mocks, and then second closest person is going to win Beat the Beast 2. So if you don't have either, if you're missing one or both of those products, go ahead and participate. Yeah, if you already bought the Ultimate Bundle or the Super Ultimate Bundle, those do come with the mini mocks. The Super Ultimate Bundle comes with the mini mocks and both of our Beat the Beast exams. So yeah, if you already bought that, you don't need to participate. You already have everything, unless you want another take at stuff. All right, so again, our closest person is going to win the mini mocks. Our second closest person is going to win Beat the Beast 2. Okay, Brianna, thanks for being honest there. That is cool. No worries. All right, let's get like 10 more seconds and we'll give these away. Super off topic, but Devin, don't you work with Jessica Corniter a little bit too? Jessica Corniter was my mentor when I was an undergrad, actually. She helped me through my honors thesis as an undergrad. Yeah, I thought so, Devin. That's awesome. She was your professor. Small world out here. She was one of my very first mentors when I was still an undergrad. Yeah, the Ultimate Bundle comes with the mini mocks as well, for sure. That's so cool. Small world. All right, well, we're going to pull this number. Let's see what we get. 359. Please help me in chat. We need to find our closest and our second closest here. I see 350. That's pretty close. Natalie Brewer's got 350. Who's close? Anybody closer? Yeah, 359. Okay, so I see Diana Rodriguez. Oh wait, Amy SR. This is crazy. 2 weeks in a row, the first person to guessed it right on the nose. I think last week somebody guessed it right on the nose as well. So Amy SR, I mean, that's just undeniably our winner for the mini mocks. Who's our second closest? I think Diana's 8 off at 367. Do we have any closer than that? Okay, so Amy SR definitely won the mini mocks. Who's gonna win the Beat the Beast 2? I think it's Diana, but please correct me if I'm wrong. What are you guys saying, chat? Oh, Natalia, you already got the fluency? Yeah, we can swap you out for Beat the Beast 2. We can do that. Yeah, Amy, get some lotto numbers. Okay, Diana 367. Crystal's confirming that with a question mark for me. That was my thing too. I think it's Diana. Yeah, I think we're gonna give it to Diana Rodriguez. All right, well, congratulations. Amy SR won the mini mock package. And then we have Diana Rodriguez won our Beat the Beast 2. Congratulations to both of you. To claim your prize, just send me an email at understandingbehaviorofficial@gmail.com after the stream, and we'll get you hooked up. Awesome. Congratulations to both of y'all. All right, let's get finish up our content. We've got more fun stuff here. Okay, so next up we're going to talk about our listener responding. So listener responding is not necessarily speaker behavior because yeah, but usually like we're listening. So listener responding is defined by responding to the verbal communication of another individual in a very specific way. So for example that we have here, if somebody were to say touch ball, the listener response would be actually touching the ball. Not necessarily, it's like, it requires like listening behavior, but I wouldn't necessarily say like this is a verbal response because it's not necessarily communicating anything. So with our listener responding, our antecedent is going to be a verbal instruction. The behavior is following that instruction, and then the consequence, no surprise, is going to be our GCSR. So that's our listener responding. All right, we're going to go over how the exam is going to try to trick you, and then I'm going to try to trick you with some verbal operant examples. Some tricky ways that they're gonna try to mess you up on the exam is that they're gonna contain multiple verbal responses or speakers within the question. So when they do this, you need to stay really oriented on what the question is asking about, which specific verbal response that they want to know about. Because if you pick the wrong one, your whole frame of reference is going to get thrown off, and you might get it wrong. With our tricky stuff too is that you want to look at the past history of this behavior. So not always going to be like what is happening in the current moment. For example, if we have like a man that like has been reinforced in the past but it's not currently being reinforced, it's still a man because we want to focus on the past history more than what is currently happening. Sometimes you might have some weird antecedents too. So, for example, you might see like motor communication within an interverbal frame. So, that's kind of weird. Watch out for that. You might also see like tacting, like abstract traits or feelings. So like if I like say like I feel funny, like it's still a tact even though it's not necessarily like an overt stimulus to be labeled. We might also see disguised operants. This like might look like a tact, but it actually is like a concealed man. It's funny. My mom actually engaged in a concealed man today. She sent me like a thing from the King Arthur magazine, which is like a baking magazine, and she's like, "Oh, this like snowflake cake pan. It looks really cool." And I'm like, "Oh, do you want that for Christmas?" And she's like, well, maybe if you like want to buy me something." So that's an example of a concealed man where she's just like, "Yeah, this snowflake plan is really cool, but it's actually a concealed man because it's has that history of receiving those items." So we'll see if she ends up getting it or not. But yeah, watch out for that. All right, let's go into our quiz today. So first one up here, June grabs her dog's attention and says, "Come here." June's dog comes. What verbal operant did the dog display? Let's check this out. Ron's just asking about the app. The app is going to be totally free. So the app, you'll still be able to access the fluency questions and the mini mocks there, the free versions of them. And if you want to get the paid versions of them, then they'll just cost the same amount as the paid versions do now. All right, answer's looking good here. Anybody want to back it up with a rationale? You know, we're all about rationales here. Yeah, Catching Flights is on it. Groovy, groovy, groovy. Looking good. All right, you guys are fast and good here. So this one is going to be listener responding. So the dog is responding to the verbal behavior of another individual. Yeah, nice rationales coming through. Love truly sucks. Looks good. Yeah, Stacy, I like that. Okay, good rationales. Good rationales. I know I didn't give a ton of time there for them, but you guys are killing it. Awesome. Very cool. Let's check out our next one here. Remy had to run to the bathroom during an important lecture. He asked his neighbor to see their notes real quick to write down. Which verbal operant best describes the writing of the notes? What do y'all think here? Ooh, I'm seeing some mixed answers. When we see a mixed pool of answers, that just makes it more important to provide your rationales. Let's see it. Yeah, Stacy, I like where you're going. Kendall, too, looks really good. Loving the rationales. Yeah, love truly sucks. Good. Lauren looks good. Yeah, again, you got to focus real clearly on what verbal response are we actually doing, are we looking at here. So we have a couple of different verbal responses. We have like asking his neighbor and writing down the notes. So focus on what is the question asking about. Yeah, Adrian, I like your rationale. Yeah, Olivia, I like where you're going. Okay, let's review this one. Definitely tricked up a lot of people here. The best answer here is F, copying text. So the frame that we have here is we have written antecedents, so we see the written notes, and now we're copying down the same written notes. So written antecedent, written response, that's going to be our duplicate. We have copying text here. This is not transcription because transcription would be vocally having a vocal antecedent and then writing down, but we have a written antecedent in this case, so that makes it copying text as our operant. Tricky, tricky. I know a lot of people think verbal behavior is easy, but the tricky stuff gets tricky. Also, like asking his neighbor here, that would be a man. So we have an establishing operation in place where he like doesn't have the notes, he requests and then receives the notes. So a few people went for man, but it doesn't apply here because that's not what the question asked about. All right, number 3. Harold asks, "Want to play ball after school?" Jimmy replies, "I'm down, let's do it." Which verbal operant best describes Jimmy's behavior? Yeah, Kendall here with Crystal's slogan, RTFQ, read the fucking question. I want you to be on your shoulder while taking the year exam, and just be like, read the fucking question. Or Crystal, if Crystal's on your shoulder too, you're still winning. All right, cool. I'm liking the answers coming through here. El Bard on track. Yeah, Kioma looks good. Stacy, I like where you're going. Amanda looks good. Yeah, Crystal, I like that. You can take each a shoulder each. I like that. So, yeah, I'll be on your left shoulder. Crystal will be on your right. Kendall, good luck on your test on Monday. If your performance in these streams is anything like how you perform on your tests, I think you got a really good shot, Kendall. No, don't speed read the question. Go slow. Digest it. Focus. Of course, our pleasure. We love doing this. All right, answer's looking really solid. I like where we're going here. This one is an intraverbal. So Harold asked, want to play ball after school? That's our verbal stimulus as the antecedent. We have a related verbal response. This is in this case is a vocal response, but it doesn't really matter. He could have just given a thumbs up. It would still be an intraverbal. But he says, "I'm down, let's do it," in response to that verbal antecedent. So this is best categorized as an intraverbal. Looks good. All right, let's check this next one. While stuck in Sandy's dome, SpongeBob croaks out, "Sandy, I need water." And Sandy replies, "A wallet, a watch," and does not provide him water. Which verbal operant best describes SpongeBob's behavior? Let's see it in chat. Good luck, Raven. Good luck, Stacy. Good luck, Easter. I hope you guys crush it, but still come hang out next week and stream. That's the sad thing. Is like once my favorite students pass, and they won't come hang out anymore. But it's just part of the job. Gotta let my brand new BCBA birdies go crush it out in the real world. Cool. I'm liking where we're going. Yeah, nice catching flights. El Bard looks good. Yeah, Amy, I like where you're going. Yeah, Natalia looks good. Sandra, I like it. Well, you can still try out the app afterwards, Stacy. And what's even cooler is like once you get into BCBA world and you hang out with other people that are studying for the exam, like you know who to send them to, because we're gonna have so much more amazing stuff ready soon. The app's not released yet, but it will be just understanding behavior. I think it's going to be called understanding behavior BCBA because that's about as many letters as I could put in there. I wanted to make it like BCBA exam prep, but it shut me off at like understanding behavior BCBA. So we got that keyword in there. I know. I loved me some SpongeBob back in the day too. Looking good here, crew. All right, answer here is going to be our man. So with our man, we have an establishing operation as our antecedent. So if SpongeBob's stuck in Sandy's dome that doesn't have water, that's going to be an EO for water. We have the request. We're just saying, I need water. This has previous reinforcement history of receiving water. And then even though he does not receive it in this situation, we want to focus on the past history of the behavior more than what's currently happening. So this still falls under our man framework. And yeah, even if it's not provided in the moment, it's still a man because it's the past history of the behavior is more important than what's happening in the very current moment. App ETA is about 2 weeks, but I'm going to tell you end of the year just to give me some cushion. All right, let's keep going. Gary is texting while driving when another driver honks at him and flips him off. Gary puts his phone down and flips him off back. Which verbal operant best describes Gary flipping the driver off? Yeah, end of the year for the app, for sure. And then hopefully I'll just beat your expectations and it comes out sooner. It's like not in my hands anymore. I've done everything I can do. It's all in the fate of Learn Worlds and Apple and Google. So, all right, sweet. I know this is a new one for a lot of people, but you guys are seeing it really nicely. Yeah, Stacy looks good. Kendall on track. Loving the rationales. Yeah, Natasha. Love truly sucks. Totally good. Yeah, Adrian, I like that extra word that you added in there. Motor and verbal. Good. I'm liking this, crew. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. All right. Best answer here is going to be E, the mimetic. So what we have here is a motor verbal antecedent. So again, getting flipped off communicates something very clear. We have a copy of that motor verbal antecedent that has formal similarity and point-to-point correspondence. So again, they're the exact same response. Look at this. And then we see our GCSR, which again is not going to be praised in this situation. It's just going to be like, I got that message and screw you too. All right. Let's look at this next one. A behavior nerd hears an epic Skinner quote at the UB study hall that says, and what a strange discovery for a would-be tyrant that the only effective technique of control is unselfish. And of course, he's referring to reinforcement there. And then this person writes it down for later. Which verbal operant best describes writing down this quote? Oh my gosh. Ashley has a killer rationale before I even finished it. Good. Yes, Stacy, I like that. Emily looks great. Lauren Roach looks good. Yeah, Natasha, I like it. For sure, you're not too far off, Ashley. Crush it, crush it. Good, these rationales are looking great. Nice, Amanda. Nice, Jessica. Gwerlyn looks good. Yeah, Brianna looks good. Awesome. I'm liking it, crew. Let's check this one out. Our best answer is going to be H, transcription. So they hear the epic Skinner quotes. We have our vocal antecedent, and then they're writing down that quote. So, and we have point-to-point correspondence because the written text exactly aligns up with what was vocally stated. Doesn't have formal similarity, though. So, like there are different response modalities. We have a vocal antecedent and a written response. So this is going to be transcription is our best answer. Looking good. I think this is our last one. While riding a roller coaster, Carla says, "I don't feel so good," and then vomits on her friend sitting next to her. Getting off the ride, her friend says to Carla, "You need to figure this out, bitch." Carla then finds them a shower and clean clothes. Then they continue riding more coasters. Which verbal operant best describes Carla's response on the roller coaster? Bonus if you want to get her friend's behavior as well. If you're feeling like you want more. Cool, Lord. I'm glad. There's somebody thinks I'm funny. So yeah, we're looking at Carla's response on the roller coaster for the main question. If you want to go for her friend's response here, it's like, you need to figure this out, bitch. I encourage you to go for that one as well if you're feeling a little extra challenge. Cool, Christina, I like your first half there. Yolanda looks good. Yeah, L Bard, that looks good. Yeah, Ashley, I like where you're going. Yeah, Stacy, that looks good. Brianna, too. Yeah, good, Olivia. I know we've got like 3 or 4 different verbal responses in here, so... Amy, think about what is our antecedent here for that one? Or like the most salient antecedent. Yeah, good Yolanda. Good Sarah. All right, let's go ahead and review this one. So the question again was asking about Carla's verbal response on the roller coaster. So that's going to be this response. I don't feel so good. Best answer for this one is going to be a tact. So she's experiencing a nonverbal stimulus and then labels that stimulus. So tact is going to be our best answer here. We also asked about this verbal response. So you need to figure this out, bitch. This one is going to be a man. So this one has a clear establishing operation. It's just like her friend just threw up on her. Like that's establishing operation to like, hey, we need to fix this. This man is requesting for a specific reinforcer. So fixing the problem by getting a shower and clean clothes. And it was reinforced with that specific reinforcer as well. So this one does call for a man as our strongest operant. Yeah, Ash was asking, you would call you a bitch be attacked also? Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. It's kind of, I mean, like, if she thought she was a bitch for, like, vomiting on her, then maybe. But, I mean, like, that's probably it's just not her fault. So I'm going to say no. But yeah, best answer for this one is going to be A, the man. And then if we looked at Carla's response of finding them a shower and clean clothes, this would actually be I. This would be a listener response. So she's responding to the verbal response of her friend. So we have some listener responding here as well. So tricky one. Again, oftentimes with the more complex scenarios, there's going to be several different verbal responses within it. So you need to stay really focused on which one that question was actually asking about. So me and Crystal's our favorite new slogan, RTFQ, read the fucking question. On that note, we're going to skip RFT today because we're going over a little bit already. But thank you guys so much for coming tonight. If you are interested in some really awesome materials, definitely go ahead and check out the Super Ultimate Mock Bundle. This contains both our mocks and our mini mocks for a very reasonable price at just $139. I think if you go to like study notes or if you go to BAS, it's going to be like $140 just for their mini mocks. And you get 2 full mocks on top of that. So it's like a really killer deal. Definitely check that out in the shop. Again, if you want to try our free stuff too, we've got links for that as well. So go and check those out on our Learn Worlds website. I'll drop a quick link for that as well. Here's the link for our mini mocks. And then we have our new product out, our fluency questions. If you're on a little bit of a budget, or if you feel like you just want to get some more easy tightening up, our fluency questions, you get more than 500 questions for just $25. Again, you can try this for free on our Learn World site as well. So definitely go ahead and check those out if you're interested in some really high quality and affordable study materials. Yeah, awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming tonight. I hope, hopefully you guys learned a lot. I appreciate all of your participation. Congrats to all of our winners as well. Again, if you won tonight, just send me an email, understandingbehaviorofficial@gmail.com, and I'll get you hooked up with all your prizes. I know a lot of people are testing next week, so good luck to all of you that are taking on the real beast real soon. And yeah, keep watching our stuff because it's going to always help you and prepare you more. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great night. See you next week and take care. Bye-bye.